Greetings everyone, welcome to another Let's Tinker edition of the DC Current. I'm your host and creator, Damon Caskey. It is St. Patrick's Day, check out my cool St. Patrick's Day tie, and I have a quickie for you. This one is more or less a demo more than it is a walkthrough about how you can use Photoshop actions to save a lot of time during sprite production or pretty much during any visual arts production. As you can see, we've got my OpenVR module project open here. This is the character Valis Yun in his disarmed state. Normally he starts with a weapon, but the sprites I'm working on right now are when he doesn't have one. And he's jumping around, he's got his handspring and all that. Not really important, just happen to have that open. But as you can see, when you're looking at the production side of things, well, the sprites look very different. That is because Valis is color separated. He has a smart palette, and then we actually apply a in-game palette that gives him, well, proper colors, and he doesn't look like he got into a losing fight with Rainbow Dash from My Little Pony. So this is his jumping animation. It is made up of 14 frames, and just for my own sake, yeah, okay, there is with his primary weapon, or default weapon, December, the broadsword, without it. And there's the frames, and you can see change of expression, then we start to get a little bit of clothing physics, and then the last two frames that loop as he's falling back down. Now, if you were looking closely, you may have noticed his pauldron changed color, and that's what we're going to get to. Right here, it is color separated from everything else, but as we move to frame 8, well, you can see I accidentally shared colors with the trim on his boots and his sheath. Now I'm going to be replacing the sheath later, so that's not that big of a deal, but the fact that it matches the boots is a problem because I may want to, in different color palettes, have different colors for the pauldron as opposed to the boots, and now I can't. However, since everything in the production side is done in separate layers, I can fix that with just a few actions. So I'm going to go to the pauldron shell layer here, and then I'm going to control click on the thumbnail, and that will select all of the pauldron. Then I'm going to fill, and just about any color will do, but I like a high contrast primary color, which I will then fill at 50%. And congratulations, I've just color separated that pauldron by giving it a 50% opacity fill. So now these colors are going to be unique compared to the rest. Then all I would have to do from there is go to Valis's palettes and make sure that I insert those colors in there. And from there, I would, when it's time to create the palette for in-game, color those new green palettes with the proper pauldron color. The issue, however, is we're not quite done when it comes to a production side of things, because while that did separate the pauldron colors, it also left them very, very granular when it comes to viewing. I don't know about you, but it's just really hard to work with that and see, say, this base color and then this color and this color and this color. These are actually all different shades, but they're really hard to work with, and it's really hard to get them just right. And when it does come time to see them in game, it's not going to look correct because there's a good bet that I'm going to place the wrong shade on the wrong pixel. So we need to do another step, and that is to select. So we're going to deselect and select a color range, in this case the trim around the pauldron, and then we'll pick a color, which I've already picked colors, but this is for demo purposes. And then we can kind of go in and fill that out with something that's much higher contrast. Select, deselect, select color range. Select, deselect, and so on and so forth. Now I'm going to undo those. Select, deselect. Valis has really just gotten started though, and already he has just over 200 sprites. And I haven't even started to get into all of the movement sprites and whatnot for when he's carrying his weapon. Excuse me. So this would be really, really bad to have to go through by hand. We want to automate it, right? Normally, you could just use a few actions and fill the pauldron, and that wouldn't be a big deal. Like I could say select color range, and then I would use the fill, same way that I did with the whole pauldron. The only issue is if you automate that, what can happen is when I know that I'm selecting a series of colors, well, I have to catch every color that's in this pauldron in the automation. Well, what if it happens to be one of the frames where part of the pauldron is obscured, like here? Select, deselect. So if I try to select the color range that is the top trim of the pauldron, right here, let's go back here. There we go. Okay. Forward and select a color range. If I try to select this color range, then I'll either get the belt, or if I go over here to the pauldron again, pauldron shell, and then select color range, then nothing. No big deal so far. But if I have this on automate, and then I decide to fill with one of those green colors that I want, I think you can guess what's going to happen. Oops. Oh, actually, I'm sorry, I filled it up over here. Well, yeah. So I just made a big mess out of the entire frame rather than filling over that single color. So how can we do something about that with actions? Well, as it turns out, in Photoshop, we actually have conditional actions. Excuse me again. And with conditional actions, we can decide whether or not we actually want to do the fill. So let me open up this little action here, pauldron second fix cond, and not the best name in the world. And you can see here, there's a color range, then an if, then a color range, then an if, and so on and so forth. What it's doing is it first selects a color range. So if I go ahead and click OK on that, you can see it is going to select that range of color within the pauldron shell layer. After that, we're going to do an if action. And my if action is very simple. If the document has a selection, which is one of the options that you can put as an action, let me show you. Here we are, insert conditional. So we can say if document has a selection, then we play an action. Otherwise, we don't do anything and the current action continues. So what I did from there is I recorded an action that does the fill-in of the colors that I want, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, the 6 colors of the pauldron. So then this action, the second fix conditional, will check each one of these colors to find if it is able to select it. If it is, then it will fill the color with the one that I want to replace it with. If not, it doesn't do anything and it moves on to the next action. Combine that with, let me just go ahead and get rid of this guy here because I don't need it anymore. It's going to be in my way while I'm taking the video. Combine this with the first pauldron fix, which just does the fill color that I showed you at the very beginning, and we can very quickly fix this pauldron. So we're going to deselect and show you how it works. We'll go to frame 9, which I haven't fixed yet. And all I have to do is select the pauldron shell. As soon as I find it, make sure it's not this guy here. Nope. Oh, there it is, pauldron shell. Sorry, it was right underneath my nose. And let's apply our fixes. The first is pauldron fix. So I will run this action. And I've got Adobe set to run the action step by step so that you can see them as they go. And then we're going to run pauldron second fix. And you can see it go through step by step checking to select the colors. If they exist, it fills them in. And when it's done, I have an ugly pine green pauldron, but at least it's separated and the colors have high contrast so that I can see them and work with them. And then I have one more action that combines those two. So as I go to the next frame, we can select our pauldron shell, and I haven't even properly named this action yet, but it's still press it and sit back. Now, if you really, really wanted to get sophisticated with these actions, you could even write scripts that could probably find the layer in question. I don't really want to go that far with it because the way my workflow is set up, it's just as easy for me to go frame by frame, run the actions manually, but that is a potential option for you. So just to show you what it actually looks like, let's go to playback options. See, I've got step by step. If I set it to the normal default, which is accelerated, well, then you can see just how fast actions really do work through your process. So we'll click that and it's done. Next, click it and it's done. And I think you're starting to get the idea. And then one more. And that's it. The jump frames are all ready to go. So all I have to do from here is export them, which I've already walked through the export process in an earlier video, and his regular jump will be ready for in-game use. Everyone, I hope that gives you an idea of what you can do with Photoshop actions. We've talked about this a lot on the Chrono Crash forum, how if you've got something that's difficult to do, yeah, it takes a little while to set up those actions. It took me about 15 minutes, and that's only because I'm a little clumsy on the controls. You probably could have set them up with 5 if you're good, but once you do that, well, that's a front-loaded amount of time that you get back and back and back and back again to an order of magnitude. You could have hundreds of sprites just automated, fixed for you instantly while you go make a sandwich. Anyway, if you have any questions, I will try to answer them on the forum. Just hit me up there, and I will hopefully be posting some more detailed tutorials on how you can actually put these actions together and get more things done during the sprite creation process. Thanks a lot, everyone, and be well.